Okay, good afternoon, everybody. And we've got James and Ian here now. Just have a little chat and give us all a few updates on. There's a few things to go through today, which is good. Ian was unavoidably delayed this morning, so we couldn't do the interview at the ground. So we're having a go at Zoom, so we'll see how it goes.
I wasn't just avoiding the rain.
Yeah. Pardon?
I wasn't avoiding the rain.
No, it wasn't too bad this morning. Okay. Well, we've got a few updates. Starting with, there's been quite a few government announcements today. Are they going to have any impact on what we're doing at the club? Ian?
In respect of?
Well, they're talking about extra money for people that have been on furlough, for example. Is that going to have any impact on us?
Yeah, on the furlough one, obviously, it was a decision that we took in March to keep everyone on furlough as much as we possibly could, and not kind of wanting to blow our own trumpet, but the idea behind that was to protect as many people as we could who had been with the club for last season. Obviously, futures were uncertain, so we took the decision to put everyone on furlough as early as we possibly could, because the view we thought was that was the last thing everyone needed at that time, was to be kind of made redundant in the environment that we were in. Furlough allowed us to protect them. And again, because of the uncertainty at the time, we hadn't had conversations with players as to who we wanted to keep or not. We were only in early March. So again, it was unfair for us at that time just to kind of say, well, okay, this is what's happened, so we are going to let you all go. Furlough, the government made furlough available, so we decided to put everyone on. And the government announcement today is very much a kind of, I suppose, a pat on the back and a thank you for looking after those employees and players. In the, for those that we did put on furlough, who we now keep until I think it's end of January, the club will get back from briefly looking at it £1,000 per person. Which, as I say, is kind of, we're not going to complain about that, but we'll take that all the time. But it certainly wasn't the intention when we put everyone on furlough for that to happen. We were simply just protecting livelihoods, people, as much as we possibly could.
Yeah.
I think. Sorry, the only disappointing, although I don't think we could ever be disappointed with the support, the financial support that the government has given. But as Ian's alluded to, as a football club, we supported everybody, even those players who were meant to leave in the 2nd of May, and those players who would receive no remuneration from the 2nd of May onwards. We supported them, backed them up, and it's, although people will say it's the government's money and you'll get it back, and that's correct. But it's the time, it's the effort, and if it was that simple, every club at our level would have furloughed every single player, and they didn't. So there's a lot of work that has to go in the background. So some of those players have received 2 months' money that they wouldn't have got, some have received 3, but slightly disappointing that every club will receive potentially the same bonus as we move into 2021.
Yeah. Okay, I think I've covered that one. With a little update on the fan zone, I believe things have happened this week. Is that for James or Ian? I'm not sure which one's going to answer that one.
Well, I think James has met up with Jonathan from TIY, so if James kind of explains how he got on and where we're up to.
Yeah, of course. There was obviously a delay. The fan zone was hoping to, or the planning permission came through just pre-COVID, and when we closed down, we are hoping to have the fan zone in place in 8 weeks' time. And I won't go into the further plans of that. Maybe that's something we can chat about later. But that fan zone should be in place with the foundations ready, and hopefully 8 weeks' time. Fingers crossed. Decisions to be made whether we have just a single door entrance onto Hague Avenue, or whether we knock a 6 metre gap in the wall and have the facade straight on to Hague Avenue. But those are discussions that we're having with the planning department at Sefton.
Yeah, so there's been movement this week, and we should be seeing something coming up soon.
I think it's important at this stage to consider how important that fan zone is going to be to the club, and thanks to TIY for that, because in the current circumstances and the climate at present, it gives the club a real vital opportunity to use the resources that we have in respect of the implications of social distancing, because obviously we were always getting the fan zone and it was always due to come, and we were very much looking forward with TIY to making that the fan zone area. You know, fans may well recall the Tranmere fan zone from when we went to Tranmere and how well that worked. But what this does, and you know, we don't really know where social distancing is going to be by the start of the season, but the hospitality and the income that the club gets from hospitality is vital. The fan zone gives us that much needed area for fans to go to should we need to extend the hospitality to allow for the social distancing. It just gives us options that we wouldn't have had with social distancing hitting and us not knowing what the impact of that is going to be. And again, you know, it's going to be a really great area for the fans to be in, because we can really make it our own, use it to full effect, and it's another place for the fans to go once they're in the ground.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay. We've had another new sponsor announced today, haven't we, with Techedia. It's another new name to support us, another one new one coming on board. That's good news. And they're going to sponsor the community teams, is that correct?
Yeah, and again, it's another new local business.
Yeah.
My understanding is that Techedia have taken premises in the city centre at Southport. It's exactly what we wanted to be, kind of making contact with new local businesses and old local businesses, just people who can build up a relationship with the club. And you know, it's great because it's a new sponsor. You know, we're desperately trying to really grow the relationships that we have currently with sponsors from, you know, whether it be last season or 3 seasons ago or 5 seasons ago. But to get new sponsors as well at a particularly difficult time is great, and testament to both the interest that Techedia have taken in the club and the work that James has put in to kind of get that deal over the line as well.
Yeah, good.
And I'm sure James will want to butt in as to how they're going to help with the junior and the women's teams as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, we talk about how do we grow the support at the football club for the generations coming forward. Our community teams are that support. They are the next generations of hopefully potential players, but more importantly, fans. You know, they come to Southport juniors or the community teams not because of, you know, their mates are there, because they want to one day be Jack Sampson or David Morgan. And that 5-figure investment from them ensures, as we said in the media release today, that every single player as part of that community section will wear the old gold for the next 3 years. And to get that investment for the football club would be fantastic, but to actually get it for a community section and to put it in there really shows where their priorities lie, and it's certainly matched what we've got. It was one of the part of Ian and the board's 3 main driving factors in May of last year, is that we would fully support the community programme, and I hope that this sponsorship is testament to that.
Yeah, it certainly sounds a good deal, and particularly in the climate as it is with finances, it's good to get something like this in, isn't it? Which I know a lot of people are struggling with this sort of thing.
Particularly as well, with it being a 3-year deal.
Yeah.
You know, they're not kind of just coming in to show a bit of interest now. They're really committing to the club, and it shows the commitment from Techedia to the club, but also from the club to really grow those junior teams, grow the presence in the community, and with the women's team as well. As I say, it's just an indicator of where we see the club going over the next few years.
Lovely. Okay. Memberships. I don't know, James, you want to take this one up where we're up to with our memberships? The first phase is closed, but we're still open till August.
Yes, so after our interview last week, Rob, we got a few more. We're actually sitting at 150 memberships exactly. Just checked before we came on Zoom. So that gives us a 16.5 increase in terms of revenue compared to a standard season ticket. And a lot of the people, when they come round the ground for the Walkabout Wednesday, will ask, you know, what can I do to support the club? Can we put another game on? Can I donate this? If I'm being honest, to any supporter out there, the best way in which you can support this football club now is by the membership scheme. The first payment will come off in a few days' time for last month. That's going to be significant money coming into the club that we wouldn't normally have at this time, given the current circumstance. And it's going to give us continued cash flow throughout the season. So it's win-win. You want to support the club, the membership scheme's the best way, and it certainly supports us all the way throughout the season.
Yeah, it's very pleasing take-up, isn't it? That's good to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. Okay. I believe, Ian, there's a change of title for our James. He's going to have a different name, isn't he? Do you want to tell us a little bit about how that's come about?
Yeah, we've decided that I mean, anyone who has any contact with the club will realise that James is at the club day in, day out. Rumours of him sleeping in a sleeping bag in the corner of his office are completely true.
Yeah.
He's often there kind of 3 o'clock in the morning if anyone's passing and fancies a cup of coffee. So, yeah, I mean, we decided that it's kind of a recognition that James goes far and above your normal club secretary role. These interviews alone through the summer show that James is involved in everything from the community, the junior teams, to right through to obviously the more traditional secretarial roles, as well as having a lot of input with myself with the finances, plan and same, and how we kind of arrange them. So we thought that a title of head of operations was far more fitting to what James does. And as I say, it's just recognition really for the amount of work that he does across all spectrums to do with the club. And as I say, I'm not joking. And if anyone is passing at 3 o'clock in the morning, you will get your coffee.
I know I've noticed the emails that come out at various times in the night as well from James, so we can't deny him that, can we?
No. As I say, it's genuine recognition of the amount of work that he does over and above what you would expect a club secretary at National League North level to be doing. And it's testament to, I think, the very changing culture of the club at the minute. Well, I say at the minute, over the last 12 months or so, where James, yourself, all the volunteers involved, there's a real kind of ownership now of it being our club. And everyone is putting in incredible amounts of hours, particularly, I say, during this difficult period. And as I say, it's a recognition of James particularly doing that and the amount of work that he is doing with the club.
Okay, I think we've embarrassed him enough there, so we'll talk about his favourite subject now, which is toilets, James. We'll give this one to you. How are we doing with the upgrade of the 1881 toilets?
Yeah, we're about a week off. Hopefully by this Friday, if not early part of next week, Rob. We should be done. Yeah. They are looking pretty smart. I don't know if you got any photographs today.
We've got a few pictures this morning which we'll put out after the interview, so we'll put those out. Yeah,
so the gents are almost unrecognisable from looking like a train spotting toilet. From anybody who's familiar with the film, pre-refurbed to a very welcoming toilet now, if there ever was a welcoming toilet. But it's been, I think, the bane of our lives the last few months is dealing with the upgrade of toilets, but they have been long overdue, and I'm certainly glad that it was one of our targets, and we've managed to get it done and out of the way.
Yeah, they do look good.
Again, just adding to that, I think it's kind of it's satisfying for us in that when we were having these interviews kind of 12 months ago, we did discuss the things that needed doing at the club that we thought needed prioritising. Obviously the pitch being one, and the toilets were the other, because that was the main area of complaint coming from everyone. So again, it's testament to the fact that we are looking at all areas of work that need carrying out, and we might not be doing them all immediately and in one go, but as finances allow, we are concentrating on the areas of the ground that most need it, and making those changes, and it's something that we're continually looking at, and again, something we're continually welcoming input from the fans as to what their views are, what they think about what we're doing and what they think needs doing.
Yeah. But I think it'd be nice to stop talking about toilets for once, when we do these interviews. We've been talking about toilets for a year, so let's quit on toilets. Okay, it's funny that James just mentioned before about Everton under-23s. It's a question that came in very late, but I believe we have news on an Everton under-23 deal.
Yeah, it was actually sorted just before coronavirus broke. I had a meeting at Finch Farm with David Harrison, and we've almost put pen to paper. I don't want to say we have done it already. The contract's there in principle. It would have been signed if not Ian, being legally minded, wanted to take a couple of apostrophes out and cross a couple of T's. We would have signed it there on that day. But it's a deal that keeps Everton 23s here until June 2023. So it's another three seasons of having them here. We obviously have lost the women who have went to Walton Hall Park. They were meant to go last year, but they ended up staying on for a year. And it's testament to the hard work that's gone into that contract with Everton. You know, previously we were the landlords, they were the tenants, and we now see support all across the clubs from David Harrison and the expert advice he gives us, Bob Lennon on the ground, and even Nigel Bennett, who organises the Everton stewards, who are here on our regular match days. So it's a partnership that can continue to grow, and I hope it grows far beyond the 2023 season.
Excellent. Okay. We have had one question in. I'm not sure if we can really answer this, but it relates to us having to pay for tests, and would we be able to afford the tests along with wages and overhead costs? Bit of an impossible thing to say at the moment, but would you like to comment on that, Ian?
I presume this is in relation to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And if we hadn't got into the playoffs, how would we have dealt with the costs?
Yeah.
I think it's quite a simple answer. If we had the kind of squad that had got us into the playoffs, and if we were at that level where we were rightly achieving the status of being in the playoffs, then we would have found a way to get the finances to do the tests and play in the playoffs. It's an easy kind of question for me to answer at the moment, because at that time, we were 13th in the league, and our squad did not suggest that we'd had a good enough season to be in the playoffs on merit. So if the unthinkable had have happened and teams 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11 and 12 had all decided not to go in the playoff, would we have gone in the playoff? Well, no, because it would have understandably affected our budget for next season. We're very, very confident with the squad that we're putting together for next season. So, we wouldn't have jeopardised that at all. Knowing full well we'd be pitched up against teams who on merit had got into those playoffs and were, by nature better teams than us. If we'd have been in places 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yes, we'd have done everything we could and moved heaven and hell to make sure we could afford to be in those playoffs.
Yeah, it's interesting that all the teams that are up there have decided to go ahead with it. But because when you think of Brackley playing Gateshead, that's one heck of a journey for people, and overnight possibly, and the cost involved in that must be huge, mustn't it?
Yeah, and it's it's a really difficult situation that to be truthful and to be honest, I'm glad we're not in. In the sense that, again, it all comes down to merit. If you've got in those playoff places on merit, you deserve the opportunity to be in the playoffs. It's what you've played for all season. And if we'd have been there, I wouldn't want to have deprived the players who've got us in those positions from carrying on. I wouldn't want to have deprived the fans from carrying on because we were there on merit.
Yeah,
we're not. So it's quite an easy question to say, no, of course not. We wouldn't risk the finances.
I think for testing moving forward, if that's also sort of more of the question, the FA have made it clear that step 1 and step 7, or step 1 to step 7 in the National League system will not start unless we can all start together and have fans. So I would imagine by that point, either there'll be funding for testing or there won't be any testing at all. step one, you're talking clubs currently, Notts County, for example, all the way down to step 7, the Northern Alliance. I think it's the Northern Alliance, where you've got teams like Blythe Town and things. So there's no way that clubs at that level across the spectrum will be able to afford testing.
And bear in mind as well, the National League made clear to us at a recent Zoom meeting that their massive preference was to start this league with crowds. That there was very little interest whatsoever in starting the next season if it was without crowds. So that's where we're at the moment, and we're preparing for next season with crowds and doing everything we can to make sure we comply with all the guidelines. Yeah.
Okay. The only other, it's not a question but a suggestion or a request really. A couple of seasons ago, we did a pledge scheme through the trust where people could pledge money per goal and so on and so on. How many times Liam says, as I said in an interview, was one of them, I think, and things like that. Could we consider doing that again? So it's quite interesting for the players, for the fans to sponsor every time we score a penalty. They pay money in. Is that something we could consider?
Yeah, we can look at all kinds of options like that. As it stands at present, I think every time you go on social media, you see clubs who are crowdfunding for one various thing or other. We have been very, very conscious since kind of 16th of March that this is a difficult time for everyone, not just the football club. There are people in very difficult situations financially, and people have lost jobs, and it's been a difficult time across the board. We've made sure that financially the club is safe and secure. We haven't wanted to go out with announcements about season tickets yet until we know when the season is actually going to start. Ideas like that and ideas on how to raise funds are all well and good when people are back to normal. When people know that they are getting their next pay packet and they know that they can pay their bills and they can get their food, then great. We'll feel kind of, if needs be, we'll feel less guilty about going out and saying, well, let's find various different ways to raise money.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, well, that's all the points I've got here. Is there anything else either of you would like to add? Is there anything we've missed?
I think from my end, it's just kind of to reassure people that we are still operating on a daily basis to get everything back to normal at the club. We're all working hard at the moment as regards the bar and the lounge. Claire and James are discussing on a daily basis the guidelines as they come out, so that we can hopefully get the 1881 bar open in such a way that we are complying with all the appropriate guidelines and regulations. I think there was a tweet went out from James a couple of days ago to try and gauge interest as to who may be interested in coming to the 1881 lounge. And again, we'll do as much at the club as we can to get back to normality. And if people want us to be, working on the lounge, getting that open, getting back to normal in that way, respond to the tweet, express your interest, and we'll certainly do our best to do that.
I think it's about the idea. So Rob, as Ian says, people have liked the tweet, said, "Oh, I'd love to go," but other than one group for Saturday, we've had no other contact other than our sort of Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday regulars, and that's who we'll start to open up for this Friday. If you want to come in, similar to any other bar in town, we're no different at the moment. You have to make contact. You have to tell us that you're looking to come in so that we can facilitate that. It won't just be a case of walking off the street. And this goes out to our supporters, are the main people who will see this. But I wish I could get it out to the sort of more public. The 1881 Lounge is a public bar. It's not for members only. If anybody wants to drop in and have a pint who lives in Hague Avenue, let us know and come in. It's there for people, and we are open and more transparent than anybody any time in the recent past. So if anybody has any questions, any upgrades, they want us to do anything we can change, we'll certainly do that to facilitate as many people as we can.
Lovely. I think we've covered everything. I'd just like to say, though, James, I much prefer your background with the Southport shirt sponsored by Wilson Henry to the one that's behind Ian there, Lionel Messi and Kyle.
Yeah.
If I went out to the fans with a questionnaire as to who they'd prefer to see play for Southport, Devon Green or Lionel Messi, I know which one would win, Rob.
You just, I think of anybody who knows this office, which used to do it, that is never there. That has only been put there.
No, I noticed that. Yeah.
This meeting's been sellotaped onto the wall, and we'll be taking it straight down once we're finished.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, both very much for your time.
Always, thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.